to. Let's go to. Here we go. Should be live. Should be live, my friends. Let's go to. Alrighty, here we go. So let's jump into article number 1. Excuse me. Yes. So welcome everybody. We're going to we have 9 press releases and 1 bonus article today, covering 10 different venture capital deals from the past week via press releases and similar. We are Capital Group. We are in the midst of expanding and growing, but most importantly, we are a company that is focused on fundraising, professional fundraising, with many, many years now under our belt, having successfully raised not just for venture capital, but also private equity funds. So that is my core focus. And with that being said, we are going to go right into the first article. So the article from a few days back, last week, California, Monarch Tractor bags a record $133 million. They are eyeing global expansion for all electric and autonomous machines. So California-based Monarch Tractor raised 133 million Series C. So Series C. So look, Astanor, which we've covered in recent press releases, recent episodes, they're a big player. Having said that, yeah, well, they were led Monarch Series B, and then HHCTBC Partnership LP is Taiwanese. Okay, and they've really only had 1 investment, and it's in these guys, so it really is a SPV, a special purpose vehicle. Now going to @1 Ventures, if we were to just quickly pull that up real quick, whoops, I will show you @1 Ventures from my list here. Should be showing over here in yeah, San Francisco. Okay. So now moving back to the article, we've added them to the list. Our list, PMV and then the Welvaart fund are both Dutch. They're both Dutch. So this is a Series B, Series C. So there's very large check size. So just in summary from first article, we got ourselves some large players that signs very large checks. So in this instance, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 folks committing a total of 133 million. Now, moving on to our second press release. So if we were to commit now to opening second press release, let's see what we got here. Let's see what we got here, my friends. Whoops. We have InnerPlant. Now, InnerPlant secured 30 million Series B, and it says here led by Ideal Investors, an alliance of North American farmers. So it says here that InnerPlant recodes plants' DNA to improve distress signaling. Canadian operator and ag investor Coutts Agro in Western Canada. So that's more of what I would consider corporate venture capital / private equity, because you have a just a general company with all of the interests aligned. They might have extra cash on hand, and therefore they are jumping into an investment that lines up and checks all the boxes for them. And this is a company, perhaps out in Western Canada, that also wants to lean into what it says here, top line, that recodes plants' DNA to improve distress signaling. So the company itself, Coutts Agro, wants not necessarily to just be focused on agro, but also very high-end, cutting-edge activities in agro. Then you have Systemiq Capital. Now let us quickly check out Systemiq. I think they're European. Just give me 1 second to double confirm that from my list here. Systemiq, right? So correction, yeah, they're London based. So now that was the second investor in the fund in this round, excuse me. And then of course, finally, you have Deere and Company, and you have Bison Ventures. So Deere is over there in Illinois, and then Bison Ventures is actually based in Seattle, Washington, which is not that far from the Western Canadian border. So this is an interesting investment. I actually am very intrigued to see what's going to go on here with this Series B. So it says here, funding will support the rollout of InnerPlant's Insight platform for soybeans and accelerate the company's work alongside its seed partners, among other things. All right, so we got a CEO, and then we've always considered farmers are ideal investors. Yeah, I agree with that. And then we got Matt Coutts, CIO, must be Chief Investment Officer. So yeah, look at that. Transgenic soybean plants emit a stress signal. That's pretty cool. And then here we go. We got a full photo here of InnerPlant, and there they are. So look, it was a very interesting article. You would actually not think that soybeans and stress signals was something that could merit a $30 million Series B, but you never know. And so hopefully these four investors are going to get what they're looking for. So it's also surprising if you could go back to what I've liked to focus on, which is the large listed companies or the private companies that are acting with a corporate venture capital tendency. You have Deere and Company because, of course, just like the article we just covered a second ago, the tractor company, many folks around the world would consider Deere over there in Illinois global headquarters to be just a tractor company, but also they themselves are of course jumping on a different tractor, if you will, concerning everything high tech, because they see that all their competitors, some of the articles we've had, the article we just looked at a second ago, which is this one, Monarch Tractor, so all electric autonomous machines, everybody's moving there. It's helping with agriculture in general to make things automated, and that's where the business is going to be. And then if you even look at Caterpillar or other heavy equipment companies that are allowing people to work fully remotely. So you have large pieces of machinery connected to satellites, and then people can work from home, literally running a tractor as if they are in kindergarten again, and then living their dream. Okay, so let us quickly transition here and focus on the next press release. Now, okay, we are moving on now to the article number 3. And article number 3 is, right, let's just see here. Yeah, Bison Venture Systemiq. Okay, so yeah, Edison Agrosciences. Here we go, my friends. So let us transition now back to the article. This is press release number 3 from a few days back. Edison Agrosciences. So yeah, US-based materials developer Edison Agrosciences raised $600,000 in seed financing to advance its work in developing sunflower crops for rubber production, which is interesting. And then it says, we'll use the funds, these $600K, to scale up operations of rubber production and further build out its seed breeding program. So the rubber extraction process at work, those look like rubber trees, not sunflower crops, but hey. So it says, while the feared rubber apocalypse of COVID-era supply chains disruptions has passed, there remains a very real need for alternative sources of natural rubber in the United States and other countries. The founders of Edison Agrosciences knew there was a potential issue with the supply chain of natural rubber, says CEO David Woodburn. So roughly 90% of all natural rubber is grown in Southeast Asia. Yes. Every one of those trees is a clone of seeds exported out of South America in the 19th century. Yes, and every one of those trees is susceptible to a disease called South American leaf blight, unfortunately. So a fungal disease, SALB, has historically, SALB, meaning South American leaf blight, has historically been confined to South and Central America, where it obliterated rubber production in Brazil. The need to develop quarantine measures against the disease is urgent, as synthetic fungicides have failed to prevent large-scale losses and dieback of trees. What a bummer. Okay, so natural rubber is used in everything from tires and personal protective gear to shoe soles and seal rings. Because of its high tensile, the amount of stress it can withstand before breaking, and resistance to tears and heat, is typically viewed as superior to synthetic rubber made via petroleum-derived hydrocarbons. For some high-performance items like airline tires, natural rubber is the only choice. Well, you learn something new every day. So, seed breeding for rubber. So, Edison Agrosciences is using sunflowers as a source for natural rubber. The company initially dabbled in genetic modification to increase rubber contents in plants, but has since moved away from that approach towards breeding. We've proven out that the rubber accumulation is actually influenced by genetics, which means that we can breed for it. Sunflowers, whose leaves naturally contain 1 to 2% of their weight in natural rubber, wow, are already grown on about a million acres in the United States and many more worldwide. There are, he says, CEO David Woodburn, surprise levels of rubber, both on the high end and low end across different varieties. We're talking about sunflowers here. Okay, farmers know how to grow it. There's a seed industry around it. There's crop protection in place. So the problem became how to produce more rubber in the sunflower instead of how to get growers to adopt something new. An extremely lean and capital efficient company. Wow, that's what I care about most, actually. So the new funding will partly help scale operations. This will enable Edison to produce the quantities of rubber needed to work with industry partners as well as conduct physical and mechanical testing. Funding will also support further development of Edison's breeding program. We continue to run diversity trials, exploratory trials, to find new genetic lines for sunflower and enter that information into the model. Then we make those crosses and continue development of those to get higher and higher levels of rubber in the sunflower plants. Woodburn says that while $600,000 wouldn't be much for some companies, we've structured Edison Agrosciences to be extremely lean and capital efficient, adding that they've run the company for the last 4 years on roughly $100K in investor equity. Wow. So if you're an investor reading this, you're really just jumping for joy because you want every company to be run just like that. Can't get much better than that. Okay, so previous funding has come from the U.S. Department of Defense and the Wells Fargo Innovation Incubator. Alrighty, well that's interesting. So the $600,000 close of this round was higher than the company was actually targeting. Alrighty. It's not a big number for most companies, but for us it actually goes a long ways. Okay, a long ways. The funding coincides with the appointment of rubber industry veteran Tom Marsh to Edison's board of directors. Marsh has held a number of executive roles in companies within the rubber supply chain. He basically spent his entire career in the rubber industry, says Woodburn, who adds that Marsh is known for being passionate about onshoring the supply of natural rubber. And then the article wraps up here, meeting demand for sustainable rubber. The biggest challenge at the moment for the company is generating demand for a product that essentially solves a future need, not a current one. All right. So South American leaf blight hasn't hit South Asia yet, so it's not a problem today, says Woodburn. For the most part, there's plenty of rubber available, but the industry definitely recognizes that the blight is a serious problem. All the same, a company solving for tomorrow without an immediate market usually winds up on the shelf. He says, to avoid that, Edison Agrosciences is targeting more specialty applications that have higher pricing and are clearly lower volume before eventually moving on to commodity rubber. On the demand front, the company's sustainability angle may help. Natural rubber from Southeast Asia and other tropical climates comes with deforestation issues. Synthetic rubber derived from petrochemicals is associated with energy-intensive processes and hazardous waste streams. Meanwhile, corporations using rubber, for example, tire companies, have the same ambitious public climate commitments as those in other industries. Woodburn says major tire companies like Michelin and Goodyear have pledges to make their tires from sustainable materials and processes by 2050. There's all kinds of stuff blended into rubber, especially in tires. There are some compounds that actually aren't so pleasant. Yep. What we would be able to do is replace some of those with sunflower rubber. In the footwear industry, for example, companies can afford to make a shoe sole out of natural, can afford to make a shoe sole out of natural rubber, but there's the other stuff that's blended in that keeps them from saying it's completely sustainable shoe. We may be able to help them out by replacing some of these synthetic materials. Okay, so that's another sales model, and that's a beautiful photo of some sunflowers, which contain 1 to 2% rubber in their leaves. Okay, so yeah, that was actually the second part of the article right there. Kind of tells you. So they're funded by the United States Department of Defense. They're anticipating that the blight, the leaf blight, South American leaf blight, which hasn't arrived in Southeast Asia, which produces 90% of rubber. So they have to focus on a market that doesn't necessarily exist at scale. So they're focusing on very niche industries at a much smaller scale, lower volume. So maybe going, B2B with shoe companies, more custom companies that are maybe also want to check the box on being green, deforestation pledges, what have you. So that's really an interesting article. I wanted to share that one with you guys because that one is just, it's a feel-good article, actually. It is a feel-good article. So, now at the top of the article, let me just quickly, here we go. St. Louis, Missouri-based BioGenerator Ventures participated along with the Missouri Technology Corporation, CRISP and Company LLC, and others. CRISP and Company LLC. Alrighty. So with that being said, most of these folks are in and around the St. Louis, Missouri area. So now, with that being said, let us transition over to a new press release. This will be press release number 4. And we want to, this one is, of course, oh yes, this is one out of Europe. And this one is one investor. And this one is, let's just go over here to this article. All right, move to this article. All right, here we go, my friends. Article number 4 here, Agrobiomics lands a $4.3 million from Noon Ventures to tackle soil salinity and make plants climate resilient with biostimulants. And we got ourselves here a nice little photo of the co-founders, Jonas from BD, Mathilda from Research and Development, Einar from Mr. Jensen himself, the CEO, and then we have Andreas and Miss Ling Ding. Okay. So, rising sea levels, industrial farming, and land mismanagement have upped the rate of soil salinization, a land degradation process where excessive salt builds up in the soil. The problem already impacts more than 800 million hectares of land globally and is viewed as a potent threat to food security in some regions. Denmark-based Agrobiomics, Denmark, just raised 4 million euros, which is 4.3 million US, to tackle the problem via its plant biostimulant called Fortify. Must be intellectually property almost certainly for this business model. Okay, so made from a soil microorganism compound in a bacterial fermentation process, Fortify can boost plant resilience to abiotic stressors such as drought and salinity. That's good. So, quote, our main driver here is to make food supply more sustainable in the face of worse and worse growth conditions caused by climate change, the CEO himself said. So, damage from soil salinity comes with a hefty price tag. One study notes that salinity intrusion costs Europe alone hundreds of millions per year, while the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the USDA, estimates around $98 billion in yield losses from soil salinity. Year on year. So Agrobiomics was founded in 2022. In that same year, the startup was accepted into the Bio-Innovation Institute, the BII, a Copenhagen-based life sciences hub backed by Novo Nordisk Foundation. Yes, huge investors out of Denmark. So this round is from Noon Ventures. And this says is Agrobiomics' first VC funding. So it's, again, another domestic investor. You have a Danish startup and a Danish investor. So soybeans ripening in a field. Yeah, soil salinity is something that is interesting. So salinity. So yeah, look, I think that there's an argument to be made about soil salinity. But if you take the case study of Mesopotamia, I think that most farmers don't have that problem, and I don't think that they've mentioned rising sea levels. So it's really up to the farmer himself how salty their soil gets. And then they talked about, of course, land degradation, salts build up in the soil, right? And then climate resilient. So it's hopeful that it's called Fortify. Yeah, Fortify is tackling two things. So not just saltiness of the soil, but perhaps climate resiliency, climate change. So look, it's interesting. It says here, they developed the biostimulant from a signaling compound already produced in nature by soil microorganisms. There's a massive response in the plants to the biostimulant. It grows faster, it gets bigger faster, it has much more chlorophyll, so we can establish very robust, fit plants. Okay. Those plants are then more prepared for drought or salinity or high temperatures. The company reports seeing 20% yield increases for plants under stressed conditions. There is no increase when plants are not under stress. Critically, Fortify can be applied in extremely small doses, less than 1 teaspoon per hectare, says Jensen. Wow, that's really a small batch. Okay. It doesn't take up much room on the surface of a seed, which is important because there's a limit to how many chemicals you can have on the surface of a seed because of its unique potency. The same product can be used for many different plants. Amazing. Wow. Agrobiomics says it is looking at many different types of crops ranging from broadacre to fruits to vegetables. And the company has already conducted field trials on tomatoes in Spain and on soybeans in North America. The company's biostimulant efficiently protects a wide variety of crops against high levels of salinity and has shown to significantly promote yields in field trials, a 20% increase at a very low dosage of 1 to 10 milligrams per hectare, notes Mr. Tillegren, Director of Planetary Health at the Bioinnovation Institute in Denmark. So, validation at field level, which is always good. Mr. Tillegren also notes that since receiving financial backing from the Danish BII in 2022, Agrobiomics has delivered on its promise to provide transformative solutions to farmers coping with the constant and growing challenges of drought and salinity. Okay, so drought. The New Ventures investment, also the Danish investor, will further accelerate development and help bring the sustainable technology to billion-dollar markets such as soybean and corn. And then we have Matilda here, Research and Development Director. The new investments will enable the company to take the product through regulatory talks and validation trials in the field. Financial support from BII allowed us to run a first validation on tomatoes and soybeans in the greenhouse. We did see yield increases, but the real data has to be in the field. Big agribusiness companies want to see lots of big demonstrations. So with this investment, we can do the trials that can convince the big players in the market. All right. Some target markets for the company include countries in Southern Europe where drought and rising sea levels are increasing soil salinity. All right. That's where they're talking about rising sea levels and soil salinity, as well as the developing countries where they might have even tougher time with poor growth conditions that are driven by climate change. All right. Fair enough. The startup will conduct its next trials across different regions and soil types in order to show the effect across different soil types. It's also important for us to gather data about the soils, regions, and climates so we can also put all of this into a data package. We believe we have something that can be scaled up, and we're going to build a company in the next 2-3 years on getting very good data. Okay, so let's see here. Let me just quickly go to the next article here. So moving on, we have here, what is next? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Press release number 5. Wow, this one was a real doozy. All right, here we go. So Micropep, a Boston, Massachusetts-based company which specializes in micropeptide technology, raised $29 million in Series B funding. The round was led by Zebra Impact Ventures, the BPI Green Tech Investment, existing investors, Fall Line Capital, FMC Ventures, Sofinnova Partners, Supernova Invest, IRDI Capital Investissement also participates. So Zebra Impact Ventures is in Switzerland. BPI Green Tech Investment Fund, of course, is in France. Fall Line Capital, need to check on Sofina is European, Supernova is European, IRDI, of course, is French. And then if we quickly check here, FMC and Fall Line in our database. Yeah, FMC, excuse me, FMC Ventures. Let's just double check that it is there in Europe, which will further validate our investment thesis. No, it's not in Europe. They are in Philadelphia, right? FMC Corporation, and then finally Fall Line. Fall Line is in San Mateo, California. All right. So now moving forward with this article. The company intends to use the funds to accelerate go-to-market strategy through partnerships, complete with regulatory studies of the first biofungicide molecule, and expand its pipeline of micropeptide active ingredients on the Crystalix platform. So, led by Thomas Laurent, Micropep Technologies, which with operations in the US and France, is a global leader in breakthrough micropeptide. The company has developed a proprietary AI-powered discovery platform for micropeptides, which are short protein molecules naturally produced by plant cells and have an infinite number of applications. It is building natural solutions to addressing global challenges in multiple markets with a key focus in agriculture. Das ist gut. So moving on now to the next press release. That was really quite an interesting batch of investors. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 European and 2 American investors. Okay, moving on now. Oh, here we go. Portuguese seafood company Oceano Fresco secures 17 million euros for sustainable aquaculture. So Oceano Fresco is a sustainable seafood company that specializes in the sustainable aquaculture of high-value bivalves, particularly European clams. That's good to know. So, a pioneer in clams on large scale. It avoids the major negative impacts of other forms of food production, such as no artificial feed or antibiotics are used, and no farm residues are produced, and promotes several positive impacts, including carbon capture by the shells and enhancing biodiversity in its open sea farm. Okay. So, bred in the company's state-of-the-art hatchery in Nazaré, Portugal, and then off the coast of Lagos in the Algarve. Right, so in the Atlantic Ocean, the clams are protected by vertical lanterns suspended along lines. They benefit from ideal conditions such as a mild temperatures, an abundant natural food supply, which is microalgae, and constant water renewal to become fully grown. That's right. That's called the open ocean. High-quality open sea clams. Okay. Indico Capital Partners led the funding, which was included participation from BlueCrow, Aqua-Spark, and FDC, a fund managed by Banco Português G Fomento. So Indico, I believe, is European, and then BlueCrow. Let us quickly just check here so I can confirm. Indico Capital. Got to keep track here on the database. So Indico Capital Partners is over there in, yes, Lisbon. So it's a domestic play. And then finally, BlueCrow, also on the list here. It is a company based in also Lisbon. And then Aqua-Spark. And Aqua-Spark is people that we've been covering for quite some time because they do venture capital private equity technically out of the Netherlands. So if we were to go back to the article here, and then finally, yeah, so you have a Portuguese investor number 1, Portuguese investor number 2, a Utrecht, Netherlands investor number 3, and then a Portuguese investor number 4, which is a bank itself. A FDCR is a fund, so you have 75% are domestic investors. And that's all we really need to know about confirming again our logic when it comes to venture capital fundraising. All right, moving on, to the next article here. NoPalm Ingredients, they have secured 5 million euros to produce sustainable palm oil alternatives. Okay. So Dutch startup Palm Ingredients, NoPalm Ingredients, a biotech startup producing yeast oils, has picked up 5 million euros in seed funding. The round was led by Rubio Impact Ventures, and we've covered Rubio with Vital and Tiny these last few weeks and former episodes. And it says Rubio Impact Ventures is one of Europe's foremost impact venture capital firms, and was co-led by Oost Netherlands, which just means Eastern Netherlands. And then we have Fairtree Elevant Ventures, which is also there in the Netherlands. And then we have family office Willow Capital Investments, which is also there in the Netherlands. And then finally, participation from the Netherlands Enterprise Agency, RVO, and other private investors, which are not mentioned. Alrighty. So the investment will accelerate the company's mission to provide a local, circular, sustainable solution for the global palm oil market. So palm oil is cheap, versatile, and used in about 60% of fast-moving consumer goods. However, with rising demand 4% annually and 22 million extra tons needed by 2030, meeting this demand would require clearing rainforest 1.5 times the size of Ireland. Okay. New regulations will also force European companies to source sustainably certified palm oil, excluding 83% of current supplies and driving up prices for every family. Tackling this challenge, NoPalm Ingredients is on a mission to create a green parallel oil and fat industry by producing palm oil without palm trees. What does the company do? So, founded in 2021 by Lars Langhout and Professor Dr. Jörn Hugenholz, NoPalm Ingredients aims to address the environmental supply chain challenges of conventional palm oil, which is found in 60% of supermarket products. So, NoPalm Ingredients upcycles and ferments food industry waste streams to produce yeast oils and fats that are perfect drop-in substitutes for palm and other vegetable oils and food cosmetics and personal care products. Its ingredients offer a two-sided solution that reduces both food waste and reliance on palm oil. As per the company, this technology boasts a 90% reduction in carbon dioxide emissions and a 99% decrease in land use compared to traditional palm oil production. Alrighty. So, NoPalm has proven its oil quality with pilot partners including industry giants Colgate-Palmolive, Unilever, and Zealandia. So, Lars, CEO and co-founder, said, "This funding is pivotal for us to demonstrate large-scale production and reach our next milestone of producing 1.5 million kilograms of sustainable oil annually, solidifying our role as a trusted partner in the food and personal care industries. We are on track for industrialization and commercialization by next year." Alrighty. So, investors' views. So we got Mr. Hofnagels, venture partner at Rubio Impact, said Rubio is excited to back NoPalm and their mission to enable palm-free and sustainable alternatives for billions of everyday supermarket products. All right. Palm oil-driven land use change threatens catastrophic loss of richly biodiverse equatorial rainforests and is responsible for more emissions every year than the entire airline industry. That's interesting. It's an interesting statistic. Okay, so companies like NoPalm are critical in preventing further pressure on our strained planetary boundaries. Then we got David Evans, managing director at Fairtree. NoPalm Ingredients has demonstrated the ability to make a cost-effective drop-in replacement for palm oil and other lipids that we believe will revolutionize the industry, address the massive environmental challenge of palm oil production and harvesting, as well as solve a myriad supply chain pain points for customers. So further, NoPalm Ingredients innovation allows them to upcycle industrial food waste streams, which recovers carbon and creates value from waste. All right. Upcycle industrial food waste streams, which recovers carbon and creates value from waste, creating tremendous benefits. NoPalm Ingredients has demonstrated both the technical capabilities as well as the commercial partnerships to rapidly scale their technology and make an incredible impact across a wide swath of industry, and we look forward to supporting them on this exciting journey ahead. And then we have Maureen Haverkamp, investment analyst at Oost Netherlands. All right. Our thoughts. So by offering a sustainable, environmentally friendly alternative to palm oil through yeast oil production, the company addresses significant environmental challenges. Partnering with industry giants, it is well positioned for large-scale production and commercialization by 2025. Its technology not only mitigates the impact of palm oil production, but also upcycles food waste, creating a circular economy driven a greener future. All right, moving on to the next article. We got here, my friends, Farm Blocks, 2.5 million seed round to bring AI and automation to farms. Its platform has grown tenfold in the last year as customers adopt the technology at the forefront of addressing critical challenges posing significant threats to the global food supply. All right. Okay, so expansion and scale into new markets such as vineyards and orchards. FarmBlocks has grown rapidly since launching in January 2023, with 55 live farm customers covering more than 14,000 acres across the U.S. and Canada. According to a news release, FarmBlocks says its platform has grown tenfold in the last year as customers adopt the technology at the forefront of addressing critical challenges posing significant threats to the global food supply. Alrighty, so U.S. farmers spend up to 75% of their time walking the farm while looking for problems. So a $17.5 billion challenge due to labor costs. So who would have thought that a farmer walking along this farm at scale can be measured at $17.5 billion, I guess, per annum. Just taking a stroll. So FarmBlocks says it combines a sensor ecosystem and artificial intelligence, resulting in saving up to 50% in labor costs and generating new revenue streams for modern farming. So reliably monitoring remote farmland in all weather conditions. FarmBlocks gives farmers a simple dashboard to quickly identify operational issues like irrigation leaks, weather risks, or equipment failure to operate more efficiently according to the release. Farmers oversee the farm status remotely via mobile app or computer, resulting in 25,000 fewer miles walked per year. Well, yeah, I guess you could say that if you're a human being and you take in oxygen and you release carbon dioxide, when you exhale, we are all also helping carbon capture by preventing 25,000 fewer miles walked. That's a lot less inhales and exhales of carbon dioxide. All right, so FarmBlocks says that at the heart of its innovation is an ecosystem of farm automation building blocks, which let farmers create customizable automation solutions tailored to their specific needs. The FarmBlocks system includes an array of plug-and-play sensors and controllers which connect to a universal monitor box, the release said. The universal monitor box delivers power and wireless connectivity by connecting to the FarmBlocks base station network, linking the entire setup to the internet, even in remote locations. So FarmBlocks says all this provides farmers with a comprehensive real-time overview of their operations and is adaptable and customizable to various crop types, farm sizes, and operations. So starting by detecting leaks in tubes on maple syrup farms, all right, up in the north, FarmBlocks says it is now expanding to monitor irrigation systems in vineyards to address water scarcity problems and comply with water regulations, such as California. So FarmBlocks offers detailed data on soil measure, soil carbon dioxide, soil temperature, leak detection, tank and silo levels, ambient temperatures, freezing risks, okay, that's important, water usage, the irrigation pressure, pump conditions as well, and then weather conditions. So FarmBlocks' mission is to develop a practical farm-scale digital platform for producers to reduce labor by helping them automate their farm however they need with simple, customizable tools. So FarmBlocks co-founder and CEO Nathan Rosenberg said in the release, we focus on immediate, real-world benefits to farmers who are hard hit with labor shortages. Bingo. So it says oversubscribed. That's what we really care about. Funding. Hyperplane, Slow Ventures, MHS Capital, and Service Provider Capital. All right. So from this, let us go back now a second to our wonderful list here. Hyperplane, got to make sure here, is this West Coast? These folks are, no, sorry, East Coast, Boston, Massachusetts. Alrighty. Next one is Slow Ventures. This one I think is West Coast, if I'm not mistaken. Got some San Francisco folks here. Yeah, so Slow Ventures is San Francisco. Then we got ourselves MHS Capital. Let me just check here for my other list. MHS Capital, and they are over in San Francisco as well. Wonderful. And then last but not least, let's see here. Excuse me. Service Provider Capital, right? And Service Provider Capital is Golden, Colorado, United States of America. Service Provider Capital. That was an interesting press release. So now, in summary from this, all right, moving on, we've got to move away from our database here and back to the article. Excuse me. So we have Boston, Massachusetts. We have San Francisco, California. We have San Francisco, California. and we have Colorado, Golden, Colorado, probably somewhere near Denver. So at Hyperplane, we are thrilled to support Farm Blocks in its mission to revolutionize agriculture and transform how millions of farmers worldwide operate. Vivian Mitro, founding and managing partner at Hyperplane, said and released their adoption by farmers across the U.S. and Canada is a testament to the team's tenacity and unique approach to addressing the most critical challenges in modern agriculture. Farm Blocks tackles labor issues and water scarcity head-on and enhances monitoring and sustainability practices, which are vital for our planet's future. Yes, that is just outstanding. So $2.5 million seed round, 4 different people pitching in, 4 different entities. All right. Now, for the final press release, before we go to our bonus article, we have Meu Pescado, $420,000 for expansion. So, Meu Pescado, a Brazilian startup offering aquaculture management services, raised $420,000 in an investment round led by Aimores Investimentos and Japan's Incubate Fund with participation from angel investors who are not listed. So the funds will be used for marketing, technology, development, and the acquisition of a targeted company. Alrighty, that's interesting. That is always interesting, my friends, because guess what? We've covered some other articles, some other unfortunate articles when we're talking about segregation of funds. We're talking about use of funds. So if you are a startup and you actually are not going to use the funds for R&D or growing your sales and marketing team, but to actually just gobble up other companies, which comes back to my investment thesis of just functioning as a corporate venture capital arm, a private equity arm of whether the company is listed or not, you're basically outsourcing to your recent startup. They themselves will say, what do we believe? Because we have a different email address and a different business card, but we're still part of an owner under a parent company. We will be the ones deciding who we are to acquire. The people at the way top might sign off on it, depending on the board of directors, but I can say that there have been case studies, unfortunately, where unbeknownst to the investors, or perhaps unbeknownst to even to the parent company or majority investor, instead of the use of funds of that most recent funding going to research and development, sales and marketing, the folks use the money to go on a spending spree of acquisitions which make no sense, or something along those lines. So I am not insinuating or alluding to that. I'm just saying, this basically harkens me back to some bad things. So hopefully these funds will be used for marketing, technology development, and the acquisition of a targeted company, period. Founded last year in 2023, Meu Pescado provides operational control for fish farming tanks. They are collecting data on the feeding, the health, growth, and the water quality, and this is monitored through an offline app built to be accessible in rural areas. All right. So with the farm mirrored in the app, our aquaculture engineers and animal scientists can analyze the data and offer guidance to increase productivity, says Jorge Oliveira, co-founder and CEO. So operating across Brazil, Meu Pescado is expanding its reach with plans to secure clients in Paraguay, Bolivia, and Costa Rica. All right. Now, finally, last but not least, my friends, the moment we've all been waiting for, and the real big, the real big news, at least for those of us in the world of venture capital fundraising. Let us go to the big one, the big final article, because this is really just too good to be true sometimes. Alrighty. Whoops. Are we good to go? Here we go. Well, let's go to the last article, the bonus article, which is this. Ag Funder Venture Capital closes fund number 4, oversubscribed on $102 million, reveals deep tech portfolio focus. So the investment theme for fund number 4 for Ag Funder is deep tech. The global deep tech venture capital firm. So it seems that perhaps funds 1, 2, and 3 are maybe not so deep tech, but investing in startups that can positively impact food and agriculture and accelerate human progress. All right, so that's a good investment thesis. Closes 4th early stage fund. So it's an early stage fund, $102 million, surpassing its target. Now, the successful close comes after months of upheaval for the venture capital industry globally that's seen many startups and venture capital firms struggle amid the downturn. When we were told that you can't 5x the size of your last fund, you will fail, we took it as a challenge, said Manuel Gonzalez, partner at Ag Funder VC. As if the challenge wasn't tough enough, fate added war in Europe. Hello. Soaring interest rates. Yep. And a banking crisis in Silicon Valley. Well, that was self-inflicted. But it was an environment we did not expect, but we achieved what seemed impossible. Our venture capital was like no other, integrating artificial intelligence, news, and an exceptional team to dive deeper in technologies that drive growth and human progress. That's what we do at AgriFunder VC. All right, so AgFunder Fund 4 received investment from a range of global investors, including family offices such as GeoBlue AG, which is Switzerland, Schweiz, and Nest VC, London. I think I've done the research. If it is Nest.vc, then we know who those folks are. We've covered them. And then, of course, Nori Chukin Bank, and then Alexandria Real Estate. So you have a big bank in Japan investing using some nice legacy money. And then you have some real estate firm which is trying to get some allocation in a fund that they believe is, well, real estate and agriculture are pretty much aligned, but maybe different types of land use. So now the new fund is already over a third deployed. So that's basically what, 34 million of the 102 million is already deployed, and includes a global mix of startups with a deep tech focus such as no-code AI. All right, that's what we're all looking at. And then self-driving labs platform Itinerary. That's accelerating materials discovered by 100x. Interesting. And the UK's NIAM, a nanotechnology company disrupting the Haber-Bosch process for ammonia production. Wow. So that's interesting. The portfolio also includes innovative food and drink brands, high growth marketplaces, and carbon removal businesses, including California's Rare Bird, a jitter-free coffee brand. New York's Key, a long-lasting natural energy from Coutts, and AquaConnect, an aquaculture tech and marketplace platform serving over 100,000 Indian farmers. So the news comes just weeks after AgFunder announced its takeover $100 million Blue Horizon Growth Fund, taking AgFunder's total assets under management to $300 million. That is just great news, and our hats are off to AgFunder, wonderful team in Singapore and London and San Francisco. Just great folks. Okay, so with that being said, that wraps up this week's venture capital funding. And in summary, just wanted to thank everybody for joining, and wanted to let you all know that we will be continuing our venture capital funding adventures. We will continue to focus on the AI and database building. We will continue to focus on clients that are looking for their fundraising assistance. We will continue to focus on agriculture, aquaculture, agri-food tech. We will continue to focus on our private investments here in Southeast Asia, and we will continue to celebrate industry peers, because we are standing on the shoulders of giants when it comes to successful companies, both on the buy and sell side. Some great inspirational companies this week. A little bit different than some former episodes where we were maybe a little bit critiqued. This week we wanted to read a few and then highlight some business models. But this week I don't think I critiqued the business models as much. I could do that, but I figured cover a few more companies. And then, yeah, last but not least, just invite everybody to continue to enjoy if you believe in market cycles, then yeah, a lot of reports are talking about venture capital summers and winters, and we're exiting the winter, and there's a lot of correlationships. So correlation does not equal causation, but ultimately things are going to get very good very soon when it comes to not just within agri-food tech VCs signing checks, but I think within the next 18 months we're going to have another market peak. That's my personal opinion before the next venture capital funding winter. So I think 2025 is going to be a peak year overall. Before 2026 is not so good. So we are busy creating some projects here that are also AI focused a little bit, but still very much over the target when it comes to agriculture and aquaculture. Okay, folks, have a good day and talk again soon. See you again soon.